Okay. Wait, just finding out if it works. Hopefully it does. Yes, great. So, all right. Now, I've been talking in the other video about the high moral principles people should abide by to make cooperation and negotiation work, basically. And I've been bringing the example of marriage, because in marriage, both parties abide by something outside of themselves, by something not just outside, by something higher than themselves. And I've been explaining that the negotiation doesn't work if we don't consider the other person's agency. If we only limit it to our narrowed self-interest, we can't have a productive cooperation. We can't negotiate properly because we would compete for a power leveler. We would weigh the opportunity to dominate the other person and to hold the leveler to decide what are we doing and whose will executes it, or in accordance with whose will it's executed. So if we are inconsiderate of things beyond ourself, of the other person's interest, of his actual perception, then eventually we turn our relationship into the power games. And we need to look at something beyond ourselves to make relationship work and to orient ourselves in our lives. And I will be explaining here how ethics are actually important, how they are actually making sense, but rarely we are given the explanation for it. So if we translate the term morality or being moral into having a consideration of factors beyond of factors beyond our self-interest. So it's an enhanced consideration. And then it's not only the enhanced consideration, it's not only the knowledge, it's not only a theory, it's also an action. And action in accordance with it, in accordance with this consideration. Hey. Now, when we understand that, well, what morality is, it's an enhanced consideration, it's enhanced understanding of things beyond ourselves, and also an action in accordance with it. We can see its role in our lives and its role in the lives of other people, because if you're inconsiderate of factors, if you're inconsiderate of things, it doesn't mean that these factors disappear. You're just becoming inconsiderate of it. You just miss things you could otherwise include. You miss the factors that could be crucial for some certain purpose. And this is where morality becomes important, because if you do want to have long-term relationships, if you do want to have a trustworthy relationship, you want the other person to feel safe around you or to trust you, not to run from you, then they are the things that should be in place. They are the constraints that make a certain environment possible. They are the constraints that make the certain consequences possible. It's the morality that is embodied in reality. It's structural. It's not a vague concept of you should, just because I said so. It is if you have an enhanced understanding, and if you act in accordance with this understanding, more things are possible to achieve than without this understanding and without this action that is considerate of multiple factors. Okay. So what it would mean is that morality or consideration of things beyond yourself and the action in accordance with these things makes a certain kind of life possible, a certain kind of consequences possible. So it constrains to make certain outcome possible. Now, this makes a better sense. This makes a better sense because, well, do you want a certain outcome? Do you want people to trust you? Do you want at least not to expect at any time someone killing you, at any time someone betraying you, at any time someone turning against you? Well, then you should be a certain kind of a person. You should act in a certain way so people would not turn against you, right? So something should be done. So a certain kind of environment would be created. So a certain kind of consequences, effects would be achieved. So now, now I want to talk about the highest reference point. Okay, that people use to orient themselves physically in space and also morally. And again, I was bringing the example of two people in marriage abiding themselves under God. Why would they do that? Well, they would do that because they don't want to their relationship to turn into power games where someone dominates someone else. They want each party agrees to abide by something outside of itself, by the highest reference point, to have a productive cooperation, to have a long-term lasting relationships, to have a relationship with integrity and honesty. And so this requires to abide by the understanding, the principles that is outside sometimes and oftentimes of your own self narrowed interest. Okay, so, but let's first talk about the physical understanding of the highest reference point. Now, let me bring examples. Okay, so first of all, we are physical bodies, and we experience a world as a physical space. How do we try to orient ourselves in the world? Well, first of all, why do we get confused in trying to orient ourselves in the world? We're getting confused because of limitation. We are limited in many ways. Our vision is limited. We can't see the whole map. We can't see the whole territory. So it's hard to navigate ourselves physically, right? Now we're talking only in the physical sense. So our vision is limited, our capacity is limited, and that's why we oftentimes get confused. Plus, we have all this external environment that makes it even more confusing to us because we can't handle it in a proper manner. So for example, sailors in the ocean. There are no clues, there is no information in the local space, in a local environment of where, sometimes, right, of where should the sailors direct their ship, right? And what do they do in this situation? They can't see too far. Sometimes they don't have a map which would show them all territory around. And sometimes the local space is confusing. For example, we have the storm, right? We have the wind, we have the clouds. The local space can be confusing. It can lack the needed information to orient yourself to the desired destination. Maybe you don't see the desired destination, so your vision is limited, and you don't see all the alternatives around. You don't see the map of the territory. So you can't choose the most efficient pathway to the desired destination because they are different pathways. There are different alternatives. And so because you don't see all the alternatives, again, due to your limitation, you don't see the most efficient alternative for you to get to your desired destination. All right. So the limitation makes it confusing for you to move from the local space to the desired destination. And this becomes a problem for your orientation in life. And in our example, for sailors' orientation in the ocean. Okay, so first example are sailors. All right. Now, what do the sailors do to orient themselves when the local space is confusing? They choose the highest reference. They choose the higher reference to guide them into the destination that is farther away from their local space. They choose the stars. They choose to be guided by stars. Why do they choose stars? They choose stars because stars are so huge that they are huge enough and they are high enough to be reached in a local space, to be seen in a local space, and to guide sailors from the local space to the farthest to the destination farther away, because of how huge stars are. So they would be seen in a local space, but they also would be seen in the farthest place of a desired destination. And so that's why stars could be used as the orienter in a physical space. All right. So stars. Because they can be seen from local space again. This solves the problem of the limitation. You can see stars from the local point, okay, and they are still farther away from you. And then also, well, relative, let's say, stability. They don't always go away. You can use it as a reliable orienter, right? So it can be seen. It's stable. Okay, so eraser doesn't work. Anyway, now let's take another example. Mountain top. So we have, let's say, travelers. All the stories you read about people traveling on mountains, climbing the mountains, all the movies perhaps you saw. So the character in the movies, at some point, they would necessarily climb the mountain top, or at least the high stand point on the mountain. Whenever they would need to see the territory around, whenever they would need to, whenever they would be confused and would need to orient themselves, they start climbing the mountain top. Why would they do it? They would do it because, well, they are confused how to orient themselves. But there is a reason why they are confused. And the reason is that their vision is too limited. Again, their vision is so limited, so limitation. Their vision is so limited that they don't see the desired destination. Okay? Destination. But then also their vision is so limited that because they don't see the desired destination and plus the territory around, so they don't have a complete map of the world around them. Okay, so they don't have complete vision of desired destination, or maybe they don't see the desired destination at all, and then they also don't see the territory around. And because of it, they can't choose the most efficient pathway. Okay, the best pathway to get to the desired destination, efficient pathway. Okay. So if you would know, so imagine you were traveling, right? If you would know where you want to go and you would know the territory around, you would know the alternative pathways, how to get to where you want to go. But because you can't see so far away, you don't know where you want to go, and you don't know the territory around you, you're limited. You're at your local space. You can't see the farther away from you. You don't know all the territory around and the point you want to go, and so you don't have an idea what is the most efficient pathway towards your desired destination. And so you're confused, right? It's pretty much confusing. Maybe you're even confused with where you are in relation to the territory around you, or in relation to, again, your desired destination. Anyway, so that's what makes your orientation confusing, right? And if you are on the mountaintop, what you want to do is you want to get on the high place from which you would be able to see all the territory around. And seeing the territory around, you could just a second. Okay. So, and seeing the territory around would help you to see the destinations, the alternative destinations, and you could choose the destination to which you would want to go. And you also, if you see the territory around you, you can, and you see the desired destination from the high place, you can choose the most efficient pathway towards your desired destination. So that's why travelers on the climbing the mountains would choose the mountain tops or high standpoint to orient themselves appropriately, because from the high place you can see the longer distances. Okay, now this is how you orient yourself physically in space. But it also works for your inner world. It also works, high reference point also works as the guidance, as a guiding principle for your life, right? Not only in a physical sense, but also in a sense of orientation in your life. And why? Because I hope to see this board. Because you interact, so probably don't see. Hi, yeah. Okay, yeah, probably don't see it here, but so you interact with the world. That's it. No. Okay. You interact with the world. You receive the data as you interact, and your brain processes the data, and then it also maps the inner layout of your experiences. So, and if you want to be more specific, this is your hippocampus that does the work, right? So you also have the same problem of orientation internally, because you build an internal map of your experiences. Well, they are actually the place cells and the grid cells that are the same cells responsible for the location, but also for understanding of where you are at. Where are you located in your life? So similarly, in our lives, we have a limited capacity, we have limited knowledge, and we have a limited experience. And oftentimes, we are confused with how to orient ourselves in life. Where do we want to go, and what is the proper pathway? And it may be sometimes where we are at in relation to, again, where we want to go, and with what we should do to get there. And we are confused because we lack the knowledge, the understanding of the world around. We are confused because we are looking from our local space again. We're looking from the place of our local experiences, and we fail to see the surrounding territory. We fail to see the bigger picture. There is information that we're missing. We practically map the world in our inner cognitive map, right? And we also have integration of all our experiences, and with these experiences, we have the perception of the world we're in. But this perception is limited. And as I brought the examples of the sailors or the mountain travelers, right, who use the high reference point to orient themselves, to see from the high standpoint all the territory around desired destination, and therefore and the pathway to the desired destination. We can do something similar in our own lives. We can take the high standpoint, and we do take the high standpoint from where it would be more visible to us, from where we could see better all the pathways, and see better the alternatives that we have. And we do that so we could see farther than our local space we're at. We're doing this by thinking, for example, right? When we are sometimes consumed in a local moment by our anger, rage, and emotions. When we stop to think, we start to see clearer how should we navigate maybe our own emotion, maybe situation, maybe the environment, maybe relationships. So through thoughts, we abstract from our local now moment, from our local feelings and emotions. We abstract from it to see how we should navigate it in the bigger picture, right? In a situation right now, and this high standpoint is basically our mind. So we can abstract from the local moment. We can think about all we can replay our experiences, right? We can replay our experiences. We can regain the data we've been missing by returning to it in our own mind. Like, what have I been missing? And you replay your memories, and you perhaps find new revelation to what you were missing before. So you kind of fill in the gaps of your knowledge through the insourcing. You using the existing data to better understand where you're at, where you want to go, maybe what would be the more appropriate way to heading there. And then the other way you also could deal with that is outsourcing the information, because you don't want to be trapped in your mind. Because let's say you can spend a lot of time thinking about the information you already have, like, where am I at in my life? What am I about to do? And you can even stimulate yourself to imagine all the to imagine some alternative pathways, to imagine some alternative possibilities. If I would do this, then that could happen. So you could imagine the pathways in your head, but you only can imagine it so far, and there's always a limitation to your own perception because your experience is limited. And so what you also could do is you could outsource. You could outsource the information. You could outsource the information, and you could ask other people their viewpoints. You could ask other people about their experiences. You could listen to other people, learn from their experience. You could also read other people's experiences and add it to your internal map to orient yourself better, to see farther than you have seen before at your local space. So you could be guided in your life. And what else could you do? So you could use your own experience, and you could, let's say, use your cognitive capacity to see all these alternative pathways, to see the possibilities. But you also could test yourself. You could go and gather even more data. You could go and try out where would it lead you, and understand more. And it's similar to what would you do, or the options you could choose in actual physical space if you would be lost. Let's say you could either go to the high point and view all the territory, pick the desired destination, and see the most efficient pathway and follow it. Or you also could go by trial, and you could just move in a local space, and perhaps you would get somewhere, but also perhaps you wouldn't. And that's why testing alone is not sufficient. Yeah, you also want to outsource it from other people, right? Because the reality needs an observer. So you want to outsource from other people, especially if you are searching the orientation in something that is directly related to other people. It's social problems. It's like the field of relationships. You do the in-source. You use your brain to reflect on the information that you already know, to abstract from your local space of emotions, to reason and imagine alternative pathway and alternative alternative standpoints, let's say. And testing, like acting out to get more data as you go. Okay. And let's again repeat, why would you want to not only use the why testing is not enough? If you're lost in a physical territory, why can't you just try all the pathways? Why can't you just find the destination where you want to go just by trying out and just walking around in the forest? And the reason is because, you only have so much time. The reason is the limitation. You only have so much time before you get hungry, and before you potentially die. And so you want to find the desired destination quicker. And also, you can't just take the whole time walking, because then you would lose your life on testing, and perhaps you wouldn't even get to where you would like to get. But because there is nothing attractive in the local environment, but you just don't know it because you don't know the whole map of the territory you're in. And so you don't want to spend all your time on testing out where you are from a local space, because then you will waste too much time on it, right? It's just costly. You would perhaps want it, but because you still would gather a lot of information as you go, but it's just costly and you're that limited. And so that's why travelers go to the mountaintops, because they don't need only to walk through all the forest. They now can get to the highest point faster and see all the area from above. And so what you really want to do besides the testing is the outsourcing and insourcing, because the high standpoint for you is your brain. It's your brain, and the way that you abstract from your local space, it's your thought, and it's your capacity to abstract from your immediate feelings and emotions, using the information that you have, being considerate of full, alternatively reflecting on life, making a better coherence, aligning your beliefs and actions. So building a better understanding of things by reasoning. And outsourcing is to updating your understanding to other multiple viewpoints. But the high standpoint internally in your internal world is not only in the way your brain, it's more like what helps you. It's more like principles that help you in accordance with what you choose, like what action you select. It's like a filter. Because again, why testing is not enough, why you're doing all this insourcing and outsourcing, is because you're limited, right? And there are infinite possibilities. You can't choose everything. So you need to know what to select upon. How do I decide what makes one possibility higher than another? Is what actually you want to understand. You want to understand this selector, these principles that help you to filter your options, to filter your alternatives. Because it's one thing to get the data, the information. It's the other thing to choose the most preferable action. So you need this filter, the selector, to based on what you choose one thing over the other. And so let's say this is the high standpoint. And well, how do you really know that this selector actually helps you to orient yourself properly and not just confuses you even more? Well, you want to ensure that this selector that you're using to constrain all the infinite possibility for your action, that this selector is that it allows you to grow even more and to receive even better outcome, right? So that it allows you to enhance your perception, to enhance your capacity, to enhance your competence, and that it constrains you, because this is its purpose, to narrow down all the possibility to the specific one that you're going to choose, because the field of possibilities is too broad, it's infinite. You have to know what to do now to get where you want to. And how do you know what to choose now? And you want this selector to be able to enhance your perception and your capacity, to make you grow and not to stagnate your development and growth. So you want it constrain the possibility for your action, but only in the way that it would enhance what you can do. Speaking in not abstract language, you, let's say in relationships, right? what would enhance your perception and capacity? What would give you the possibility for growth? Is it to lie and be dishonest, or is it to tell the truth, or is it to be honest with your partner? And then you understand that, well, if I lie, then I have to. Then what we are dealing with a partner is the lie that I tell, and not with the truth. But dealing with a lie is not growth enabling, right? Because you're dealing with a lie and not an accurate information. So what you want to set is to deal with the truthful information. You want to operate with it, and so you stop telling lies and you start telling the truth. Because when you tell the truth and the other person tells the truth, you can actually know what the other person believes, right? And the other person also can know what you actually believe. So there is the more accurate transaction of the information, and this allows you for growth. The transaction of the false information is misguiding, and so, well, you don't want to operate with false information, and so you ensure that you operate with truth. You ensure honesty. That's what you do, and this becomes your selector for an action, your high standpoint. Yes, it constrains you, because now you basically choose not, as you choose to be honest, you choose not to lie, but it constrains you to enhance your growth, right? It constrains to enhance your relationships. And well, let's also take another example of a relationship. Why do you want to let's say select for one close romantic partner? Why not just have multiple romantic partners? And then you understand that, well, the goal is to have a selector to constrain in order to enhance your perception. And when you have a relationship with one romantic partner, you can have a deep understanding, and not surface level of relationship. You can have a deep and trusting relationships, and you can have a deep understanding. The more variables you will have, the harder it will be for you to handle, right? So you constrain yourself, but what you have is you have better sort of relationships. You have trusting relationships. You create the kind of environment that is flourishing, and so you do need to have this constraints. So you want the kind of constraints that would make the flourishing environment possible. And also you want to actually enhance your understanding. So you want to be more considerate of other people, and so you want to include all other factors. And that's why it should work also for other people and not only for you. And the point of using the high reference point or standpoint is that you surpass your limitation when you are confused in a local space.